Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sporting Journey. Hope everybody's doing well. As you can see from thumbnail, it's why I'm not excited about the January transfer window. As a Leeds fan, and the teams who were in the relegation places right now. Look, January is notoriously hard for teams who were struggling at the bottom of the table to either bring in a defender because you're shipping in too many goals, or bringing in an attacker because you're not scoring enough at the other end. Now, I'm going to discuss some of these January signings, what clubs have made, and I hope you enjoy this video. So in 2020, right, Man United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer brought in Bruno Fernandes. Now, it, the, Man United, even under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's one of the biggest clubs in the world, isn't it? So they're going to be able to attract good players even in January. So they brought in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in 2020. Um, in 2012, Chelsea signed Gary Cahill from Bolton in 2012 under Roman Abramovich. But again, this is Chelsea, another big club who can attract big players. Um, in 2011, um, Liverpool signed arguably one of the best players I've seen in Premier League for finishing in Luis Suarez, because that's when Torres left Liverpool to join Chelsea. So Chelsea bought in Fernando Torres. Liverpool went out and got um, Luis Suarez, and then Andrew Cole in 1995. He left Newcastle, which were a big shock to Newcastle, and joined Man United. Again, another big club. So big clubs can attract players in January. The smaller clubs find it very, very difficult. And if we do attract players in January, who are the little clubs going to attract to their clubs respectively, when they've played everybody at least once? So there's evidence there to say, look, this is their results against each club in the Premier League that season. They've played everybody at least once, so they've got some sort of, they've got some sort of evidence to work with, and it's going to be very, very difficult. The manager Vidic joined Man United in 2006 in January. Again, another big club is signed from Sparta Moscow. And that was pre-announced on Christmas Day. So big clubs can attract players in January, which they don't seem to have a problem with. We can't. Another player, another January signing, Aubameyang, joined Arsenal in 2018. Um, he joined. I think the manager back then was I'm sure it was um, Unai Emery signing who brought in Pierre Aubameyang. And then Jermaine Defoe joined Tottenham in January in 2020 2004. Another good player, but again an established bigger club, a top six club if you like. And I went through most of these. Philip Coutinho joined Liverpool in 2013 in January. I've been through most of these, and the best signings what got made were for the bigger clubs. I found it very, very difficult to find quality players who come into teams in and around the relegation places in January, and this is why I'm not as excited you know about the January transfer window, being a Leeds fan who were involved in a relegation battle. I just don't know what sort of players the teams like Wolves, Leeds, um, Burnley, Forest, West Ham. They seem to be on a bit of a, their tails are up. after two back-to-back wins against Newcastle and Burnley, so they've got confidence. So I think they'll pull away from relegation places, and I don't think they'll be involved come March. They won't be involved in. I think they'll be clear at relegation places. So the the, the positions for getting relegated have gone from you know, everyone thought West Ham were down and Wolves were down. Like the one place between Leeds, Burnley, and Fulham. Now there's two places up for grabs. Not Forest beating Leeds last time out. That gives them confidence. They're 1 point behind Leeds, 1 point behind Fulham. So are they going to be able to attract better players than what Leeds United can? Are Burnley going to be able to attract better players than what um, Nottingham Forest and West Ham can? I'm not so sure. And my three favourites now for getting relegated are Wolves, Leeds, and unfortunately Leeds and Burnley. As the table stands right now, you've got to say that the momentum's with Forest after a win, and West Ham after a back-to-back at home. Something they haven't done this calendar year, getting back-to-back wins. So it's so difficult. I mean, going back to at least Edin Dzeko went to Man City in 2011. Man City back in 2011. You know, they were finding the feet. But again, they were a project there, an exciting project there for Man City. You know, so players could go to there. And Patrick Evra went to Man United in January with transfer window in 2006. Ivanovic joined Chelsea in 2008 in January transfer window. Virgil van Dijk went to Liverpool in January for £75 million. So to get players in, you've either got to pay them extortionate wages to want to come up with a team who are fighting at relegation, or you've got to hope that you can find a hidden gem somewhere from a club who were just desperate to play in Premier League. I know it's a World Cup year, so that might help if you can when it comes to maybe loan market, you might be able to attract players in coming in from loan market who are desperate to get into World Cup squad who are currently involved in getting us who are struggling to get a team selection from such bigger clubs. I mean, a name what got mentioned from West Ham over the week were um, Xerxes from Man United. Now, I don't think Xerxes all that. If I'm honest, I don't know if he's going to get you the goals to keep you up in division on his own when he's playing with players who aren't quite as good as what you've got with likes of Fernandez, um, Casemiro, and players of that ilk. When you come in a team who was struggling to score goals and struggling to keep goals out at the other end of your pitch as well. I just don't know. I really don't know, guys. And this is why I'm not looking forward to January transfer window. This is why I'm not looking forward to it. It's it, it's I don't. If someone who's watching this could tell me in comments, name me one player what a relegation team has signed what has made a massive difference for them to avoid the relegation, to avoid the drop come end of the season. So I can't think of many. I really can't. Um, you've got you've got Nemanja Matic who joined Chelsea in 2014. Again, going back to it were already at Stamford Bridge after the loan. They bought him. They bought him in under Jose Mourinho. Luis Diaz, 2022, signed in January. Um, it, he were another good player, but again, he's talking Liverpool. Bruno Guimaraes joined Newcastle in 2022. Newcastle in 2022 just got, that were, you know, Eddie Howe but manager, and Newcastle had a good project. Tierney joined in 2022 in January as well. And so what I'm trying to say then basically is the big clubs can attract players, the little clubs can't. Not quality players who we need. Do you know what I mean? So it's and I think I think what owners try and do is they get desperate and they make mistakes when it comes to signing the players if they're the right profile for the club and stuff like that. So I don't know. This is why I'm not as excited about the January transfer window compared to others, and that's the reason why, guys. Anyway, let us know what you think in the comment section down below. Are you looking forward to January transfer window? If you're one at bottom five clubs, or do you think you're going to be able to bring in the quality in a relegation battle? I'm really struggling. I am. Anyway, thank you for watching this edition of this, Sporting Jenny. Until next time, guys, have a great day. Look after yourselves. See you all soon. Take care. Bye bye.